It's been a little while since I was a kid, and there's a lot less that has novelty to it for me anymore. A lot less that surprises and impresses me with its spectacle, since I've had more time to see more things. When I was younger, I worked at a different brand of Chuck E. Cheese's kind of arcade, the kind of place a kid walks into and is immediately overwhelmed by all the lights and noises and bugs their eyes out and goes, wow. I noticed how, coming into work every day and seeing the same thing, the effect would wear off for me, until I saw another kid come through the front doors. They'd take so much longer than I expected to move inside, because they were spending so long taking it all in. Then, a little part of me would remember. The problem was that I knew what the place really was. It was kind of gross, with kids putting their hands all over everything and the inside being kind of humid and sticky. I came to dread constantly being bombarded with a cacophony of the same loud soundtrack loops of dozens of arcade games competing for children's attention spans for 6, 8, 10 hours at a time. I had to clean the floors and the countertops constantly. I knew all of the stains in the carpet so that I could tell them apart from the things that I would have to sweep up. I knew every visible flaw in the place. I knew all the game cabinets that didn't work. Our grumpy Eastern European tech with a thick accent it was our fault if we didn't understand would have to come and fix them, but we couldn't bother him in his office, so word didn't often get around of what exactly needed fixing, or it would go through so many layers of telephone that it never reached him. Or maybe we just couldn't get replacement parts anyway, and people kept putting tokens in so they didn't really care. I'm still mad about how their Tekken Cabinet's joystick didn't work for Player 1. I was ready to try and learn that game. So it took a kid looking at it with fresh eyes to walk in and remind me of why the place excited me when I was younger. It really did have value, even if, from an adult's perspective, it was custom designed to monetize that value and extract everything it could from the parents. I remember going to the Las Vegas Strip for the first time on a trip to a Smash tournament and realizing what was putting me off about the place. It was the same work experience. It's just a children's arcade, except instead of having to use tokens and tickets to sidestep the issue of children managing money, it lets adults burn the money directly. There's a lot of money to be made in spectacle, so a lot of people are trying to create it, to the point where it gets saturated. It becomes difficult to accomplish for people because they've seen so much of it. It gets overhyped, over-budgeted, and under-delivers a lot of the time. Movie trailers exhaust me, and I mute and turn my brain off during anything I perceive to be a commercial as soon as possible. I've never been to a Disney theme park, and someone's going to have to work really hard on me if they ever want to drag me to one. A certain amount of this skepticism and cynicism is a result of interacting with the world and finding out how it really works. But I think it's important to compartmentalize that, and even while we're able to spot distractions and misdirections and try to avoid being deceived as much as we can, look at something spectacular and be able to say wow like a kid does. Something may have been made to distract us or to get money out of us, but at some point in that chain of events, an artist made something so big, bright, colorful, exciting, that it was able to distract us. And that's a special part of life we only get to experience so often. I got reminded of all of this by our silly Squid game when I walked out into the square yesterday and looked around. Splatfests aren't always the most fun times for competitive players. They take away the game modes we'd rather be playing, so unless we can get scrims, we're probably not going to play the game as much until they're over. Random online matchmaking turf wars have long since lost their novelty for most of us. We know how they work, and we aren't super interested in buying into them anymore. I think it's part of why a lot of casual players are shocked to hear how many hours we've played. The way they enjoy the game doesn't seem like it would last someone that long, and they're largely right. I'm also heavily critical of Nintendo as a company and their interaction with their competitive communities, so it's easy to fall into a habit of bad faith criticism or acting like we're above this game. Stepping out into the square, though, I felt like a kid walking in the door of that arcade. Sure, it's probably not the same as seeing something like that in real life, but the fact that it's a game and not a movie or a picture, I think goes a long way. Being able to interact in that space, to explore it, to look around at my own pace, to focus on what I wanted to focus on, that ludic element of the art form, it created the same sense of awe, even though it was just coming from my TV monitor. I don't know, maybe that makes it more impressive and not less. Even if you aren't going to be playing much of it, I hope even some small fraction of you get some time to take it in and experience the same feeling that I had looking at all the crazy colors and the budding plants on April 20th. Wait. There's no way they actually...